Do you want to know how to turn your current home or your first home into an investment property? Let's talk about it. This is Owning Realty. I'm Lindsay West, and I am your Atlanta real estate expert. And I want to talk to you about the steps that you need to turn your current home or your first home into an investment property. Let's get into it. So a lot of people normally don't realize that their very first home or the current home that they live in could be an investment property. And I feel like a lot of times people either sell the house without even considering that to be a step, or when they're buying a house, they don't even think about that for the future, right? And so I want to talk about how we can have that kind of in the back of our minds when we're purchasing a home, and how when we think about our current home, the benefit of maybe having that super low interest rate and other things that can make it a perfect investment property for you to cash flow off of. Let's talk about house hacking. House hacking is when you either rent or lease a part or a portion of your home to help offset the expenses of the mortgage. So house hacking could be like you renting a room, a basement, an ADU, or even the whole house to go ahead and pay for your mortgage or offset the payments. And a lot of times people house hack using multifamily homes like duplexes, quads, or even triplexes to live in one unit and then let the other 3 units pay off the mortgage. However, you can still house hack even if you're living in a single family home. You get to start having passive income. You get to pay down that principal faster. You get to live for little to nothing, right? Those are really good benefits to house hacking, and why I encourage people to consider it when they're purchasing a home. Let's talk about the ideal properties for house hacking. Ideally, in a perfect world, a quad would be amazing, right? It's sometimes hard to come across quadruplexes that are affordable or that don't have a huge demand. Normally when we see a quad or a multi-unit come up on the market, those things are really sought after. Quads, duplexes, triplexes are ideal home structures for a house hacking venture. But you can also house hack if you buy a home with an unfinished basement. You could probably finish the basement and rent it out. Or if it's a finished basement, you could rent that out separately with a separate entrance so that they don't have to bother you. Another home that would be great is a home that has an additional dwelling unit, or what we call an ADU. You can rent that part of the house out alone, or even they call it a carriage house or a mother-in-law suite. Those parts of the house can be definitely rented out, and it can help offset your mortgage payment. The other thing you want to think about when you're looking for the right house to house hack is the location and where it is situated, so that people would be interested in staying there. Is it close to colleges and universities? Is it close to maybe hospitals? So you can probably have med students or doctors or nurses that rent out a part of your home. And wherever it is it in a great location that people can have a good lifestyle, right? Is it walkable? Is it close to shopping centers and things like that? Those are all the things that we want to consider when we're thinking about purchasing a home that will eventually be a rental property or an investment property. Let's get into the monies. Show me the money. So one of the best loans to use for house hacking would be your FHA loan, which is the best loan because they allow for you to put 3.5% down on a duplex, quad, a triplex, which is great because whenever you go past 4 units, normal lenders will require 20% down, right? So 3.5% gives you a low barrier of entry to get into the property that you want. Another great loan that you could use is a VA loan. Most people know that VA loans allow for you to have no down payment. So that's a great way to get into a multi-unit or a regular house, a single family home, without putting down a lot of money. So if you're a veteran, that's a great option for you. The other thing to understand with the money is that when you're buying a multi-family home, so like a duplex, a triplex, or a quad, the bank can also factor in the potential income of the residents that you would be, leasing your space to help offset your debt to income ratio. So they'll use that potential rental income to say that you can afford it because you'll be having positive cash flow, right? So it's very important that if you do look at those type of units, that you are making sure that the bank is aware and informed so they know that you'll have some potential cash flow to, again, offset your debt to income ratio. Now, of course, when you start to consider that you're going to house hack or rent something out or lease something out that's on your property, you are going to become a landlord. That's kind of a part of the game, right? Of course, consider reaching out to a property management company and seeing if they would have managed the other units that you're going to rent out if you're dealing with like a quad or a triplex. But if you're dealing with something that's in your home, like you're renting out the bottom level of the basement or an ADU, or you're just renting out a unit, you'll most likely be managing it yourself. And so let's talk about the screening process that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to make sure that you get familiar with the local laws in your city or county to know what kind of renter laws there are and that they protect the tenant, right? And you also want to know how you're protected as a homeowner. You're also going to want to look at the area and see what can you potentially charge for your rent, right? So you want to make sure that you're on par with what the neighborhood is demanding for rent and not too far off from that, and set realistic expectations. And then oftentimes I say be a little conservative. So if you know that the area is probably charging $1,000 for a 1-bedroom, you might want to set your eyes on saying, maybe I'll come in at $900. Of course, if the numbers work for you. Definitely you want to be considerate of the price that homes are being rented for, similar to your style in the area that you're in. One of my favorite online tools to use to determine rent in the area is Rentometer. And if you plug in the address of the property that you're considering, it will pop out the information on what they think you can ask for rental. For a lease, Rentometer will give you an average range of rent in your area based on the location of your home and the size of your home, how many bedrooms and bathrooms you have. So that's a great tool to use, and one that I think is easy for us to use. Another one I like to use is Zillow. I like to go on Zillow and just look around to see how much people are charging for rent in my area and how long maybe the houses have been sitting and waiting. Because we'll know, like, if it's been sitting for months and months and months, maybe the rent that they're asking for is too high. And we'll also be able to see pictures of the homes that we're comparing ourselves to, right? So I think those two tools are great tools for you to use, and they're easily accessible to you. Another thing that you want to do is speak to maybe a CPA or your tax preparer to talk to them about your new adventure and how you're going to become a landlord, and you'll be having that extra income coming in, and how you want to file taxes based on that new income. We definitely want to be able to use the depreciation that comes with being a landlord on the value of your home and the fact that you're using it to generate income. So we want to talk to a tax expert that's going to help direct us in how to file those taxes going forward. So that's the gist of it. I hope this information was helpful to you. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section, DM me. You can find me at Lindsay April on Instagram. That's LINDSAYAPRILE. And you'll see it down in the bottom. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend if you think it could be helpful. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you next time.